In this video, we're going to be taking a second look at Kodak's T-Max P3200. Normally, I try to be open-minded when it comes to certain films with different developers, but in this case, I feel like it's pretty imperative that you choose the right developer for this film. The first time I tried this film, I developed in HC110, and in my opinion, the results were not good. In HC110, the grain is just too large, it's a bit distracting, and the sharpness kind of just goes out the window because the grain's in the way. This is my opinion, of course, but I think it's critical that you choose some kind of solvent developer for this film to come out right, either XTOL, D76, or something similar, because otherwise the grain is just too out of control. For this second test, I went with XTOL 1:1, and I rated the film at 1600 once again. Honestly, in my opinion, I think 1600 is the most you should push this to. 3200, if you need that much light, that's just way too dark, and your results are really going to suffer at that ISO. Getting into this image, I'm actually pretty happy with these results. The grain definitely still has a presence, but it is much finer, and it doesn't get in the way of the sharpness. I think you can still really see all the details, all the lines in the body, and everything just looks nice and crisp. With the finer grain and the enhanced sharpness from the XTOL, I think the image quality really comes together this time around. And one thing to consider, this is a pushed image, so considering that, the contrast is going to be higher, the grain is going to be higher, but I think with those things considered, the image quality is pretty good. As far as this film being a low light, high speed film, I think it does hold up really well in that aspect. I rated this at 1600. This is naturally an 800 speed film, so anything past that is you're going to be losing shadow detail. I metered for a zone 3 right around that ribcage area for that shadow, and I think it holds up pretty well. There's plenty of shadow detail there. One thing that did stand out to me was that the highlights ran a little bit hot. If you look at these images, the highlight areas are pretty bright, and you could definitely tweak that in development or pull it back in Lightroom, but that is one thing that I wanted to point out. I did also shoot a few shots one stop darker, just out of curiosity, just to see where the film would end up. And inside the arm, that shadow area, it really starts to get muddy there. If you did rate your film at 3200, I think it would start heading into this territory where it's a little bit too dark, the shadows are muddy, and I think overall the results are not that great. So that's why I say keep it around 1600 at the most, and your results will be pretty acceptable. I do kind of like this shot though. The film does go very dark here, but I think if you're going for a specific moody effect, the film will still hold up pretty well in an extremely dark area like this, but if you're metering your whole thing like this, you're going to end up with pretty subpar shadows. On my first try with this film, I was pretty disappointed, but on a second try with the right developer, I think the film has a lot of potential. After trying it a second time and seeing what it can do and how much better it can look, I think I would recommend this film and I would definitely shoot it again. Not every film works great with every developer. Some of them need a more specific developer, and as always, I think it's good to test your film out and see how it reacts and what the result is before you go and do an actual shoot with it. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time on The Negative.